Most men are told that being single is a problem to fix, yet it's often when life finally stops taking from them. No constant adjustment, no shrinking your pace just to keep things smooth. This isn't about attacking relationships. But when a man stands on his own ground, something practical clicks into place. Things start working without needing extra effort. Time stops slipping away without you noticing. For many men, this clarity arrives late, after years of reacting instead of choosing. If you're single right now, you're not behind. You're in a position most men only understand once they lose it. Freedom shows you what commitment eventually asks you to trade. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And that's when some men realize they didn't lose freedom, they gave it away slowly. Here's what most men only understand after they have lived it. These reasons explain why many single men quietly live better lives, and why some of this will feel uncomfortably familiar. Your decisions become yours again. Most men don't notice how much they negotiate their own lives until they stop having to. You go where you want, meet whoever you choose, and no one expects a report, no discussion, no timing alignment, no emotional follow-up. Some men joke that even buying milk no longer comes with a discussion. Same pace, less resistance. It feels normal until no one asks why you're late. You realize you weren't tired from work. You were tired from explaining your life. Thompson used to extend work trips longer than necessary just to delay going home. When a trip ended, he noticed he wasn't relieved to stay away anymore. He didn't rush to fill the silence. He let it sit while tying his shoes. The silence doesn't feel empty, it feels settled, like driving without constantly checking if someone's watching the speedometer. Some men notice they've started whistling again, and it surprises them. That's when a man remembers he works best without constant pressure. Not to dominate, but to stay steady. Control was never the point. What mattered was not having to rehearse every choice in your head. The relief comes from making decisions without shrinking yourself. They either give in too fast or harden up too much. Being on your own gives you room to respond instead of bracing. Once decisions become simple again, energy comes back. You stop rushing yourself. Now calm doesn't feel suspicious. You move with intention again. And that changes more than your schedule. That's not pulling away. That's finally moving on your terms. And that shift alone changes how life meets you. Why single men live better lives? Living with someone means being seen all the time. Single life gives you space where nothing is being tallied. You cook your own while a little messy, a little late. No one corrects it, no one rewrites the recipe. At first, that feels strange, then it feels clean. There's no need to defend small mistakes. You fix them and move on. Many men don't notice how much tension follows them into everyday life. You've already carried enough judgment into adulthood. At work, everything is measured. Who speaks up? Who gets credit? Who moves ahead? Over time, you realize how much energy disappeared just trying to be likable. You didn't become sensitive, you became alert. Years of meetings and quiet competition train you to read face before settling in. Not to impress, just to avoid slipping. And to be fair, it's not just men. Women feel it too. Sometimes what looks like anger at home is just exhaustion with nowhere else to go. Single life doesn't undo that overnight, but it finally lets it soften. You've earned the right to live without shrinking yourself. Sure, feedback can help you cook better, but before that, there's the sting of realizing a dish you were proud of gets dismissed without mercy. When no one is measuring you, you stop performing. You start acting from alignment. That's when self-respect settles in naturally. Life feels lighter, like losing a few kilos and no longer feeling squeezed into your own clothes. Why single men feel stronger again? Everyone craves one simple feeling after a long day. Coming home and finally being able to relax. For many men, that's the part that quietly disappeared. Not suddenly, gradually. They long for someone gentle to set the table and speak to them with quiet care. But not everyone can offer that, even with good intentions. When home feels like another place to manage, that's when strength starts draining quietly. Endurance isn't weakness, it's proof you carried more than you should have. You earned the money, shared the housework, handled the heavy tasks, and even took out the trash. When you're single, your attention stays put. Nothing keeps tugging it sideways. There's no careful watching of words or moods. You can just be quiet without something turning into a problem. After work, Bill often had one last coffee at the office before heading home. He adjusted a few things on his desk, even though order had never mattered much to him. He wasn't avoiding home. He was preparing for it. For many men, home isn't always where they truly unwind. Often they're tired from constant adjustment. Now when you have no partner, ease returns quietly. The strain wasn't about women at all. It was about how much life kept piling on to both sides. Then you notice you finish the day with something left. That extra margin matters. When pressure fades, strength doesn't need motivation. Effort switches from obligation to option. If this feels familiar, you're in the same place as many men at this stage. If this part felt close to your life, you can leave a single word below. No explanations needed. Some men will understand it immediately. Why single men finally own their time. Imagine you've just finished an important project. You want to book a short trip to unwind, and for once, no one stands in the way. No one questioned the timing or the expense. That moment was his to enjoy. You loosen up without trying, like reconnecting with the years before you were bound to anything. Before, very little ran on your terms. Even relaxing after a workday came with conditions. There was always something waiting. Another task, another responsibility. That's when time doesn't disappear. It just stops answering to you first. Single life removes that rule. Time was always limited. What changed is that it finally feels like yours again. That alone already makes you wealthier than you think. Notice how many hours opened up each week, and how many things you once postponed. Some of them are ready for you now. Most men have a few things they've been meaning to do for years. Jim wanted to give a full week to care for a close relative who was unwell, but something always blocked the plan. When he became single, the path cleared. Time isn't just valuable, it gives neglected parts of you a chance again. And now your days feel full without running them past anyone. Why single men feel calmer about money? When did money stop feeling simple? And when did spending start coming with explanations instead of ease? Money feels heavier when it has to pass through approval. Not because it's scarce, but because it's discussed too much. Being single removes that friction. You spend based on value without needing to justify every choice. Oliver said he had been planning to buy a bike for fitness, but her computer needed replacing first. His purchase waited. He couldn't help feeling a little regret when his friends planned a bike trip soon after. It wasn't the bike he missed, it was how easily everyone else said yes. That's why many married men quietly keep a small, personal fund, or keep the real cost off the table. Many men aren't bad with money, they're just uncomfortable talking about it honestly. If your finances are messy, you see it clearly. Some men grow comfortable with the freedom of their early years. Impractical spending takes time to catch up. At times, a gentle reminder keeps things grounded. But hearing the same warning about things you already understand slowly becomes tiring. Some men didn't feel broke, they felt managed. That difference changes everything. It's like owning a wallet that never fully feels open. Now money becomes a tool again, not a topic. You gain more room to choose what actually supports your life. You're not trying to be cheap or reckless. You're just spending without a lecture attached to every receipt. That simplicity settles a man. He stops second-guessing every choice. Your space finally works for you. Even as adults, it's surprising how long arguments can drag on. Sometimes over something as simple as whether to get a dog or a cat. When a home becomes shared territory, some of your quiet habits start getting trimmed just to keep the peace. It's not something you usually say out loud, but men have their odd little routines they'd rather not have an audience for. It's not about women being at fault. Even with family, living under the same roof naturally brings friction. If you've ever watched aquarium fish at home, when the tank gets too tight, even calm ones start turning on each other. Being single removes that layer. Not suddenly perfect, just easier to breathe. Your place becomes quieter, not because it's empty, but because it's honest. You arrange things the way they actually work for you. The space feels used, not controlled. I decorated my living room with an Iron Man theme because that's what I like. It's not fancy, it's interesting, and no one needed an explanation. Some men don't realize how much tightness lived in their own homes. They just thought that constant tension was normal. There's no commentary on small habits, no correcting how you eat. That's when rest stops being defended and starts being real. This isn't about control or ego. It's about finally not bracing yourself in your own space. When your surroundings stop pushing back, choices start feeling straightforward. How you set things up affects how you move through the day. And when it finally fits, a man stops negotiating with his own life. By now, you can see the pattern. When a man stops constantly fine-tuning his life, the pressure eases on its own. Many single men eventually realize this isn't loneliness. It's the first time nothing is pressing back. The day finally ends at night. Looking back, did you notice how often your sleep wasn't very deep before? It's not magic. Now your mind no longer replays words or prepares the next response. You go to bed when your body feels ready, not when the room finally turns quiet. When the lights go out, the day actually ends. Nothing unfinished follows you to bed. For years, broken sleep felt normal. They brushed off waking up 3 times a night as part of aging. Turns out it wasn't age. It was unfinished conversations. That realization jolted more men awake than any routine ever could. It was the moment rest finally felt whole again. In the romantic seasons of life, closeness feels light and natural, often filled with joy and ease. It feels natural until it stops feeling that way. Meaningful embraces, and by the time you notice, it's already changed. As connection fades, intimacy starts coming with conditions, slowly settling into a routine. Sometimes the desire isn't really there anymore. Then life shifts. Single living gives you back the choice to sleep lightly or to date only when the connection feels right. Mornings arrive without weight. You wake up steady, not already behind. This isn't about sleeping longer. It's about resting without carrying the day into the night. Deep, peaceful sleep does what exercise alone never could. It lets the body recover on its own terms. And when rest finally does its work, a man meets the day without resistance. Being alone starts feeling like relief. Being alone used to feel like something missing. Then one day it starts feeling like space. There's no one to perform for or keep comfortable. No one questioning why that old coat is still your favorite. Just space that doesn't demand anything from you. I used to think being alone means being left out. Now it feels like coming back to yourself. A man I know called me late one night after his separation. He paused for a long time, then said, "It's quiet now. I don't argue with anyone anymore, except my dog." Sometimes that is exactly what a man needs to calm himself again. like setting a toolbox down after carrying it all day. Most men think they miss people. What they really miss is not feeling managed. Some men rush past this part of life. They mistake it for emptiness because no one ever taught them how to stay here. Stay with that feeling for a moment. Let your shoulders drop. Then say this to yourself, slowly. I'm allowed to be here. No proving, no performing. Silence is not a problem. Don't repeat it. Just notice what settles when nothing asks you to perform. You don't feel proud. You just feel lighter. You notice how your thoughts arrive and leave on their own. No interruption, no commentary. Some men confuse solitude with isolation. They're not the same thing. Isolation feels like waiting in the cold. Solitude feels like sitting down where you are warm. If you've reached this point, you're not the only one here. Some men choose to name it, others just stay. Both are fine. You choose when to connect, not out of habit, but out of want. And that choice changes the quality of every interaction. When being alone stops feeling like a problem, you can sit and watch the trees in your garden on a Sunday morning without feeling like you should be somewhere else. Companionship becomes a preference, not a need. And if you're riding alone right now, that's fine too. You're not incomplete. You're already enough. You move firmly through life without reaching for constant distraction. In time, a man discovers something simple. He was never as alone as he thought. They weren't happier because they were alone. They were happier because nothing was pulling them off center anymore. And for the first time, that center didn't need to be defended. Intimacy finally feels simple. There was a time when intimacy meant checking the mood first. Is this a good day or a bad one? You learned when to lean in and when to stay quiet to avoid a fight. Even when closeness happened, part of you stayed alert. Sometimes that alertness isn't about her at all. It's built from past letdowns, the habit of pulling back, or never learning how to ask without creating pressure. After living on your own, the pattern breaks. Now, when you date, it's interesting. You're not making a long-term commitment on the second date. You meet because you want to, not because something is missing. If it feels right, you stay. If it doesn't, you step back without making it a scene. No exit speeches, no late-night replays in your head. You're not playing games. You're simply getting to know people and waiting for the right fit. A friend said the biggest surprise was how uncomplicated it felt. No guessing, no build-up, just being there together. There's nothing to figure out later, nothing you feel you owe. It feels simple because nothing's being exchanged, just two people being themselves. No man is free who is not master of himself. Epictetus. That includes how you show up in closeness. You no longer adjust your tone or shrink your presence. When intimacy stops being complicated, it stops draining you before it even begins. And connection becomes something you enjoy, not something you manage. You don't owe explanations anymore. Being single doesn't just free you from explaining yourself to a partner. It trains you to stop explaining yourself to anyone. George once said, "Every time I went out, my ex wanted to know who I was with. And when I came back, the first question was always why I was late, why I needed room, why silence was taken the wrong way, why nothing ever felt small." And he's probably not the only man who's experienced that. I know this feeling. You've lived it too. You learn to add context to everything. That habit came from trying to keep things together, not to be clear, but to stay out of trouble. Over time, that habit wears you down. After standing on your own, something shifts. You say less and it lands better. People stop pushing for reasons. Not because you push back, but because your answers stopped inviting debate. In a world where everyone is expected to explain themselves online, silence suddenly looks like confidence. Constant justification doesn't build trust. It shows you're not fully standing on your own ground. You no longer run lines in your head to be understood. If it fits your life, that's enough. If you respect this kind of quiet clarity, let it register. No need to say much. Someone I know was asked why he hadn't remarried. He said his life didn't feel unfinished. When you stop over-explaining, others hear the confidence underneath, not loud confidence, the kind that doesn't argue for itself. You're not cold, you've just learned the difference between clarity and apologizing for existing. You listen more, you speak when it matters. And yes, sometimes the laundry piles up longer than it should. Freedom isn't always neat, it's just honest. And when someone asks for clarity, you give it cleanly. One answer, not a case, no footnotes, no closing arguments. When over-explaining ends, people stop testing you. Not because you demanded it, but because you stopped giving away your ground. When calm no longer feels like a trap. There were days when she went quiet at home, and somehow the quiet felt heavier than any argument. No comments at the table, no tone in her voice, and instead of enjoying the calm, your mind started asking if a storm was coming. Peace felt unfamiliar, like it was about to ask you for an explanation. After being on your own, peace no longer requires you to step down for it. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Nowhere can a man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." You sit at ease and your body finally stops staying on guard. Jack once said it took him weeks to stop asking, "What am I missing?" Nothing was missing, nothing needed fixing. The discomfort came from not having a problem to solve. Peace doesn't mean life is small. It means friction has stopped being constant. It's the absence of unnecessary strain. True peace restores what some men have lost and protects what others still have, once they learn to enjoy it instead of questioning it. And for men living alone, that quiet is already there, waiting to be claimed. Home stops feeling like something to escape. There's something wrong when a man wants to escape his own home, and most of us have felt that at some point. I used to think freedom meant getting away. Any excuse worked, as long as it created distance. Not because life was bad, but because it felt heavy to stay inside it. Being single changes that slowly. You stop needing an exit. Home doesn't feel like something to survive anymore. It feels neutral, then steady, then yours. A place you don't rush through, a place you don't need relief from. You open a book and sip a cup of hot coffee. Music plays softly and you settle into your home. No escape plan, no fake errands. Nothing special is happening. And that's the point. And some days you do miss a small reminder, not control, just the feeling that someone noticed, like no longer asks you to earn the right to rest. Staying doesn't feel like giving up. Most men think freedom is movement. Sometimes it's the first time you don't need to go anywhere. It feels like arriving, and that's exactly why it feels right. Nothing dramatic changes on the outside, but inside the running stops. Some men understand this instantly, others only later. Being single brings freedom, but it also removes excuses. There's no one left to blame, and no one left to hold you back. Being single isn't a rejection of love. It's a return to balance. Nothing here says you must stay this way forever. It only shows what happens when a man finally stands on his own ground. You learn what drains you. You learn what restores you. And when peace becomes familiar instead of fragile, you stop chasing noise for proof of life. This is why so many men say they feel happier alone, at least for a while. Some men will choose partnership again, others won't. But either way, the center holds this time lost time, Not because life got easier, but because he stopped abandoning it. If you ever feel like putting a word to where you are right now, you can leave it below. Others here will recognize it. This is Move or Die Stoic. If you've built a life that feels right to live inside, protect it. Because a man who is at ease with himself is no longer easy to pull apart.